Welcome back to the Nintendo PowerZone. We are a videocast/podcast dedicated to bringing you the best Nintendo-related topics. I am your host, Nice One, and joining me is the full staff, and this is our first episode of 2019 after our extended holiday break, but we're back in full force. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome my co-hosts, Blues and Jaden Winsong, back to the podcast. Gentlemen, welcome back to the show. I hope you guys had a really good Christmas break. So before we go any further, how was your holiday break?
I survived. Simple as that. I'm a survivor of 2018 holidays.
Yeah, I feel like that was about what my holidays were about too, was just trying to, not kill myself or anybody else around me. So yeah, looking forward to 2019.
Yeah, mine was pretty good. Got a lot of catching up on some work that has gotten done and some working through some of my backlog. Finally getting around to Pokemon Let's Go, which I'm a bit late to the ship, but other than that, pretty okay.
All right, cool. So guys, we have a couple news stories that we're going to talk about. Some of these are really fun. Some of these are maybe a little bit lame, but we'll see how it is when we get there. So we might as well just go ahead and slide right into the powered up news. First and foremost, Yoshi's Crafted World gets a new trailer and a release date. So after like years of like silence on this particular game, because they announced this game back in 2017 when the Switch came out.
Yeah.
We're finally getting this game, and it's going to launch on March 29th. I really enjoyed the trailer, and what I really liked about the trailer was like you see that in the time that they've been quiet on this game, they've actually managed to make the game look better. We also got some file information. It's going to be about 5.3 gigabytes of space, which actually makes this one of the larger first-party Nintendo games. It's kind of up there with like Breath of the Wild and Xenoblade as far as how much disk space this will require. But yet and still, that's still really good for a game that looks this good. It's like Nintendo's compression, for the most part, is better than everyone else's, especially
as it should be.
Yeah.
But yeah, the game looks really nice. I'm excited about this game. And I really did enjoy Yoshi's Woolly World on the Wii U. It was actually one of my favorite games on the Wii U. Not the best 2D platformer they had on that system. That still goes to Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. But it's definitely up there, and it's one of the better Yoshi games. And this game looks like it's going to like carry on the tradition of what Yoshi's Woolly World set off to do. I'm kind of hoping we get another amiibo line for this game, like Yarn Yoshi, or a Mega Yarn Yoshi re-release. Because that's one of the amiibo that I do not have in my collection, and that bothers me a lot. So yeah, Nintendo, let's get a Mega Yarn Yoshi out, please. Thoughts on this game, guys?
Where's my Funky Kong mode? I want my Funky Kong mode. No, but I think it does look a lot better. You're right. As for the size, I think that might be partly just due to how like nice it looks. But I'm hoping that means there's a lot of content to it. It's a Yoshi game, so I'm not expecting too much, but I'm also sort of thinking the flip side of the levels will sort of double my experience too, like lengthen the playtime by at least half, if not double, which I'm hoping for.
Well, this game has like a mentality of like the collectathon, but in a 2D format. So like, I can see how that like appeals to like you basically can make the game harder by just trying to like collect everything. Basically,
Fair
like
enough.
Mario Odysseying it. What I do like about this game, though, and something that I've liked since the first time they showed it off, was the 2-player co-op. My fiance and I, we play a lot of individual video games, but I like the games that make us play together. So 2-player co-op in a game like this, considering we've beaten all the Donkey Kong games, Tropical Freeze and Donkey Kong's Return, and all the new Super Mario Bros. Games. And we're probably going to pick up Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe this weekend, so we can go through that again together. But we love these like multiplayer co-op games where like we're both on the screen at the same time. It's always funny, like accidentally killing her character.
Yeah.
And watching her get mad, but yeah, accidentally. If you guys are not listening to the
video version,
if you're watching the video version, you see the air quotes. But if you don't, I'm doing air quotes right now. I'm doing air quotes. But yeah, so March 29th, it's sooner than it's sooner than I thought. I actually thought this game would be buried like closer in the summer.
Yeah, Definitely.
But that being said, the game has suffered multiple delays, just like Yoshi's Woolly World did. That's the problem. Like, who's making this game? It's like Good Feel. Yeah,
Probably, I think.
they like they've been in charge of the Yoshi series, and they've done one Kirby game. But like, man, they don't release these games on time at all. I think this is the only like game that we were told about at launch that slipped, and then it slipped again all of last year, and now it's finally here. I kind of just want an explanation, but Nintendo's not big on telling us why they delay their games. They just delay their games.
And I don't even think they feel that they need to, because even though they're delayed, typically the wait pays off. Like, I've not played. Take a Woolly World, for example. That game was fantastic. I had zero complaints about it. Like, honestly, thinking back, I have zero criticisms. Like, the wait is always worth it for them.
I mean, it's what? A rushed game is forever bad. A delayed game is eventually good, right, Shigeru Miyamoto?
Right.
So I think if Nintendo's responsible for that quote, they never need to explain the delays. I mean, everyone just goes back to that. Like, Miyamoto himself said it.
That's true.
In terms of, it's a bad comparison, but you're talking about how like quiet they were on this game. This game was announced at the exact same time as Metroid Prime 4.
Right.
And so I'm just, are we going to get some Metroid Prime 4 stuff? How good is that going to look? Please. We're getting Yoshi now. I know it's a bad comparison. Yoshi games really don't take as long. It's much bigger game being Metroid, but still, I'm excited. That's been even quieter than Yoshi, and I'm excited to see those first beats on Metroid.
Well, true that. Well, guys, this game is coming out on March 29th. I'm definitely picking this up, so I'll have my thoughts for you when I get my hands on this game. Moving on, this is a story that I knew we would be talking about for years, and it keeps rearing its head in. But this one kind of sucks. This is the story that I think just bums me out the most. So Universal Studios may be backtracking on Nintendo theming of its Florida theme parks. So at the end of last year, we reported that it appeared that Universal was going to take the Nintendo concept and do what they did with the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, which is to spread it across multiple parks. So if you go to the Universal Studios side of the theme park, there's Harry Potter stuff there. But if you go to the Islands of Adventure side, there's more Harry Potter. And it looked like that was something that they were planning to do with their Nintendo themes. So it was reported that Pokemon would be taking the Dr. Seuss section, which has been long overdue for an overhaul. That needed an overhaul when I first moved to Florida, and that was 16 years ago. Pokemon would have been a perfect fit. It's not too big. You could fit like a couple of like kiddie rides there, and Pokemon theming would have been excellent for that section of the park. But looks like they're scaling back, and most likely due to the fact that they don't want to go all in on Nintendo properties until they can prove that this is a commodity that they can make money off of. Yeah. So what kind of blows extra hard about this is that the Super Mario World section may have been delayed because they are building a third theme park. They finally did get clearance to use that like 300 acres of land that they bought in the Orlando area to build a theme park. Initially, when they bought that land, they were forbidden from building a theme park. They were supposed to be used for things like hotels and extra parking. But the theme park, once they got that Nintendo deal, they decided that the Nintendo deal was big enough to warrant its own park if they did it in conjunction with other things. So the rumor was that they would be putting not just Nintendo, but there'd also be a World of Warcraft section of that park as well, and they were basically going to take as many video game franchises as they could and build it. So the Legend of Zelda section was rumored to be part of the Universal Studios side. Then the rumor changed so that it would be shifting to this new theme park where the Super Nintendo World is going to be built. And it just looks like they're not, like, instead of like doubling down on the theming, they're backtracking. And I think this is terrible news. Nintendo is so much more than just Mario. Like, if you look at Nintendo's most recent successes, they're proving that they can like reinvent like their own image to the point where we have characters like the Inklings becoming as popular as they are to the point where they have concerts, and you have the Arms characters who have their own charm. And instead of backtracking, I feel like they should be doing as much as they can to make this a much more Nintendo inclusive theme park. I don't know. I'm bummed out about this news because I live in Florida, and part of the reason why I want to keep living in Florida is because I live so close to Universal Studios. And if they had gone all in on Nintendo, this would have been amazing. Now, I don't think that the Mario section won't be enough. I just think that if you go all in, you have like a Donkey Kong section, a Legend of Zelda section, a Splatoon section, a Pokemon section. Do you understand? Like, there is no Pokemon theme park. So if you had like a Pokemon theme park itself would draw in millions of people annually. I don't know that like the reasoning behind it. We're gonna wait to see if the Nintendo or the Mario section is gonna be successful. I think that's a little stupid. In hindsight, it makes me wonder if there are licensing issues more than there are this wait and see mentality. I don't know. It just doesn't make sense. If this theme park is supposed to open by 2023 here in Florida, like I feel like you want to have as much available day one as possible. I don't know. Thoughts on this, guys?
Well, real quick, I do want to point out that this is these are all just rumors, although they do come from a pretty good source, Theme Park University, right? So I do want to point that out. So we may be there's a slight possibility we might be pleasantly surprised, right? Probably unlikely, but without any official confirmation, right? So I just want to point that out real quick.
Yeah, but Theme Park University has been right so many times, like
exactly.
Like, I honestly think the people who work on this website might actually be people who are, like, the people who build some of the attractions. I think they're the people who, like, get on this and stoke the flames. Plus, you remember last year, Theme Park University released all those screenshots or those concept shots of like, the Mario Kart ride. And all this stuff is very much in line with how the rides have been described to us. So I'm willing to 100% Theme Park University on these rumors, but it sucks. It sucks.
Definitely, yeah.
Blues, what are your thoughts?
So I do think it sucks. I think everyone probably thinks it sucks, and I have to disagree with your point that the backstepping from this is wrong. If I'm an investor, if I'm the one trying to profit off this park, I would rather I don't want to go all in like you want them to go all in. I would rather not go all in with not much profit, because you do want to wait and see if it does bring in profit. And so just from that sort of base level standpoint, I agree with the investors. However, this is Pokemon, this is Nintendo, this is Zelda. It'll draw in millions. Like you said, the Pokemon one alone for sure will get some attention.
Right.
If not, over a long time, I think we're going to be day one. Those parks will be super duper crowded with Nintendo fans everywhere.
Well, the reason I say it's a bad idea is because in a couple of months, Disney is opening Star Wars. The Star Wars segment of their park at I guess it used to be called MGM. I think it's called Hollywood Studios now. They're opening that in a couple months. Last summer they opened Toy Story World, and there are rumors that they're going to convert the Tower of Terror into the Guardians of the Galaxy ride that they have in California. You see Disney tripling down on all its properties. Like, okay, we're gonna hit you hard with Star Wars. We're gonna hit you hard with Pixar, and we may be kicking your butts with Marvel properties. Now, granted, Universal Studios does kind of have them by the balls in that way. They cannot, based on an old contract, they cannot build Marvel-themed rides based on some of the marquee characters here in Florida. But that doesn't mean they can't build a Black Panther ride or could you imagine Disney building a mini scale Wakanda? Yeah.
I could actually.
Look, I drove to downtown Disney, or it's called Disney Springs now, the other day, and from the road I saw a glimpse of the Star Wars theming, a glimpse of it, and I was like, they could totally do Wakanda.
Yeah, they could.
And they just opened up. They just opened up the Avatar section, and by all accounts, from what I've heard, I haven't been to Disney World since they opened that. From what I've heard, it is the most encompassing section of their theme park that they've had in decades.
Wait, decades. You mean Avatar, like James Cameron?
James Cameron, yeah.
What the hell? They got okay. That's something that's new to me.
Well, they opened the park 2 years ago, and then they bought Fox, which gave them the rights to the Avatar films as well. So yeah,
that makes sense.
So yeah, but I can't remember the name of that planet in that movie. But basically, they did like they from what I've seen in like YouTube videos and from what I've been from what people have described to me, it looks and sounds like it is the most immersive section of the Disney park in decades.
Right.
This is why I feel like Universal Studios should triple down on the Nintendo properties, because they are more proven commodities than the Avatar, Pandora. The name of the section.
Pandora. Yeah, that's right. Well, yeah, I mean, here's another thing. You've stumbled on something, and I don't think you've realized you stumbled on this argument. Like, they could get really screwed if they don't put in enough content, right?
Exactly.
And that's what we're talking about. Like they could do some Nintendo stuff, but if it feels like it's a half-assed kind of partial content, right? It's gonna have people come once to check it out, but they're not coming back again.
Yeah.
Right? They have this potential to really go in and do something crazy immersive and really get people coming back for those experiences repeatedly. And
that's what's happening with the Harry Potter section.
Right.
Like, the Harry Potter section is so immersive at Universal Studios that it is drawing repeat business over and over. New business every day and repeat business all the time. Like, you've proven that you can be more immersive than Disney when it counts.
Mm-hmm.
Don't take your foot off the gas now, especially since you're making us wait longer. Now, instead of having this in 2021 like was originally projected, we're scaling back another 2 years, and you haven't said anything other than Super Nintendo World is confirmed. Like, the Theme Park University, again, hit us up with the rumor that they may do World of Warcraft. The problem is that movie flopped, and that video game franchise is like 10 years past its prime.
Right. Have you been? I don't know if you people have been checking, but Activision Blizzard stocks have not been doing particularly well in the past couple months. So WoW's probably not the best idea for them. I'm not really a big analyst in terms of like stock or companies, but just by gauging off of that, probably not a great idea.
It doesn't hurt that the Fast and the Furious ride also flopped as well. Theme Park University is saying that may have contributed, but it doesn't take a rocket scientist to let you know that a Fast and the Furious ride was not going to be a good idea. Those aren't even good movies anymore. All right. Anybody else have any thoughts before we move on? Because this is kind of just really bumming.
You guys honestly covered everything I was going to say. I was going to get to the double-edged sword, not enough content point, but he already covered it, so I'm good.
Oh,
we've discussed. I'm good.
All right, so we have the biggest news to come out today in the Nintendo world, and that's that Ariana Grande got an Eevee tattoo. No, that's not what we're going to talk about, but that
I was going to say, I don't remember this.
That actually did happen. That was announced this morning. Yeah, so guys, we're recording this on Wednesday, January 16th, and that has popped 16th? Up. Yes, that has popped up on.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the 16th. It's popped up on every freaking Nintendo media outlet. Ariana Grande gets an Eevee tattoo. I was like, that's not news. Like, oh god, this is.
It's a slow news week.
Like, that's a slow news month, dude. I was like, damn, Nintendo, we need a direct because we're talking about Ariana Grande's tattoo.
You just don't get it, Dennis. It's Ariana Grande. You're not in with the young people anymore.
I'm young. I don't like Ariana Grande either. So
I was gonna ask. I was just gonna say, like, I have no idea if young people even like her anymore.
I mean, I feel like a lot of people do. A lot of people don't. It's very mixed on her, I feel. But
I don't know these hip things. All I know is,
ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Ariana Grande PowerZone cast.
Yeah.
Well, we still got to do cereal at some point, guys. At some point, we can't go changing before we do cereal. We have to do this in order. So we gotta do the podcast first.
Speaking of
and then
cereal,
combine the other
wait.
things.
Not to cut you off, but speaking of cereal, did everybody see that they brought back Pop-Tart cereal?
No.
What?
They brought back Pop-Tart minis and Pop-Tart cereal. It's exclusive to Walmart. I haven't had the cereal yet, but I've been tearing up the Pop-Tart minis. If you're looking at the video version, look at it. They changed the name. They're not minis. They're the Pop-Tart bites, but these are fire.
So.
All right. Okay. So enough dilly-dallying. So I'm actually really excited about this next story. Xenoblade Chronicles 2. I know, right? No, the real story. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is getting an official art book.
Yeah.
So this has only been announced for Japan right now, but if you guys check out Nintendo Life, they have some images from the book itself, and what I'm looking at is the cover, and it's gorgeous. It's that hand-drawn Pyra and Mithra, and it just looks so good. It looks so freaking good. I'm begging Dark Horse to please bring this stateside. Like, you guys have done a phenomenal job, with the exception of the Mario Encyclopedia, where you may have plagiarized, but we're not gonna talk about that. You've done an exceptional job of bringing these art books stateside. You got to get me this one. So it's retailing at approximately $29 in Japan. They're gonna have some like crazy collector's edition. So what they did with the Creating a Champion collection was they released like a hardcover version of the book, like it's like leather bound, and it comes with like the spirit orb. I totally want them to do this, but with like Mithra's core crystal. Do the same thing that they did for the Breath of the Wild art book, but release like a Mithra's core crystal with it. Be so dope. Like I guess that like cross core crystal that she has.
I can wear it around my neck and pretend I'm Rex.
Like, totally. Oh, no, and I love Xenoblade because Xenoblade has such a great like art style. Like the way they did the hand drawn art in the game, that all looks really phenomenal. But I would love to see how like the process of like them transitioning from that hand drawn art style into the 3D art style that's in the game. By the way, they don't go into how much detail this covers as far as like if this is going to cover like the Golden Country like art as well. But I feel like they could do a whole art book just off of Torn of the Golden Country, because that was some of the best DLC I've ever played. By the way.
I mean, according to the Nintendo Life source here, it says that they it contains art from both Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and Xenoblade Chronicles 2 Torn of the Golden Country. And it's illustrated by Masasugo
Saito,
who did the special illustrations for the Rare Blades, as well as the main character designer.
Right.
But yeah, that's the same guy. I'm just dumb.
What's interesting about this book is that like Square Enix did so much character art for this game, like especially for all of the Torna members, including Jin. I would really like to like just have a side-by-side comparison of like what the Monolith Soft artist drew Jin up to look like, and see how that transitions to like have them side by side, so you can see like this is our core concept for the character, and then just see how Square Enix evolved the character to fit in that game. I'm ecstatic about this art book. If they don't announce a translation for this book within like 5 months, I'm just gonna pre-order it on Amazon and get the Japanese version. Because this looks great, and Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is a fantastic game that doesn't get enough love. It should have won RPG of the Year at the very least this year. I'm sorry, Persona 5 and all the other crap that was nominated. You didn't deserve it. Xenoblade, kick your asses.
I mean, so I own the collector's edition of Xenoblade 2, which comes with a art book, actually. It's not nearly the 352 page that this is. I should have brought it up with me. I don't have it. It's downstairs in my collection. But I'm not sure if I said this before. I'm a sucker for art books. I get collector's editions just for art books. I'm going to pick this up, regardless of if it's imported or not. And it seems like it's fairly similar. However, the differences seem to be that there is a story playback feature of the book, which is going to sort of have quotes, story synopsis by the sound of it. And the title of the book is The All Rest World Record, or All Rest I can't talk. The All Rest record. So it sounds like it might go into a bit of the lore behind the world too, about the history, etc. That was explored a bit more in Torna Golden Country. So I'm excited to see that too. But I also feel like I might see a lot of repeats, and I'm hoping that's not the case. Sure, I already have that book.
On a quick side note, the Splatoon 2 Koshian book was also announced. It's going to be done by a different publisher, but we need these books. I had the first Splatoon art book. Fantastic.
Me too. The hardcover on it's great too.
Oh yeah, I love it. But yeah, this is coming out. What did they give a release date for this? Did they not?
February 3rd, 2nd February in Japan.
All right, yeah. So, guys, this is one to keep an eye out for. If you haven't played Xenoblade or Xenoblade Torn of the Golden Country, I don't know what you're doing. You need to stop all your other games. Get your hands on this. Really excited about it, man. All right. So we're going to go ahead and go from official news into some rumor news. Nintendo Switch Online may be getting Super NES titles. This was uncovered by some data miners on the Nintendo Switch Online service app. And the games that they have supposedly found, I'm using air quotes again if you're listening to the audio version, are Super Mario Kart, Super Soccer, The Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past, Demon Crest, Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island, Stunt Race FX, which is a really fun game, Kirby's Dream Course, Poppin' Twinbee, Star Fox, Contra 3, The Alien Wars, Kirby Superstar, Super Ghouls and Ghosts, Kirby's Dream Land 3, Super Metroid, Super Mario World, Pilot Wings, F-Zero, Star Fox 2, which was exclusive to the Super NES Classic, Super Punch-Out, The Legend of the Mystical Ninja, Super Mario All-Stars, and Breath of Fire. So like 90% of these games are on the Super NES Classic Edition if you bought that. I am a little surprised to see Star Fox 2 on this list because that was kind of like their Trojan horse to get people to buy the SNES Classic Edition. But since those are now, they're not making those anymore, I guess it makes sense for them to bring that particular game to the Nintendo Switch Online platform. I guess what's really great about this news is that when they announced Nintendo Switch Online, they announced it would have NES and Super NES titles. But then we only got NES titles when the damn thing finally launched. And people just love to talk a lot of trash and say they're unhappy with the service. The way I view this is that you're getting free games for the price of your ability to play games online. That being said, though, Nintendo Switch Online does need somewhat of an overhaul to make it a little bit more functional, especially when it comes to things like setting up matches in various games, such as Smash and Splatoon and Mario Kart. Like, there needs to be a way that I can invite my friends to play, but that's neither here nor there. So
they need to do a smartphone app.
Yeah.
The smartphone app is just poorly implemented. It needs to be more into the OS of the system.
Now, they did also find that there may be some other stuff on here that, if we're going to believe the rumors, that maybe Nintendo 64 games and GameCube games. These are all rumors, though. I'm more than willing to bet the Super NES titles are real, though. I'm not going to I'm not going to hold my breath for N64 GameCube titles, especially not GameCube titles. Nintendo did too good of a job of making that system like emulator proof.
Right. I mean, so it might be. So the other to contextualize this, the reason why there's some belief that there might be like either a 64 GameCube Classic is because they found some emulator names. They've identified two of them as pointing to NES emulators and SNES emulators. We know that's what those are. The other two are kind of question marks. We don't know that. And so with putting everything together, people think they might be for the other two systems. And I think that's a possibility, but it could just be something as simple as, they were testing this shit out just to see if it would actually work and run. And it may just not be implemented because they possibly didn't work. So we don't really know anything at this point. Sometimes you see that where developers put stuff in to try to test stuff into the code, and then they don't implement it and leave it in the code. I don't know why they do that, but sometimes it's not the first time we've seen something like that.
Oh, that shit happens all the time. Like, how many, like, you know how many times you could find, like, Super Mario stuff in, like, the most random code? Like, you'll find, like, Mario outfits in Splatoon, and you know damn well that they're not adding Mario outfits to that game. I guess what's really interesting about this news is just the fact that Nintendo has been so slow and they've been so quiet on these type of stories. Like, they're not getting ahead of these rumors, and they're definitely not going out of their way to debunk them either. But that's the Nintendo way. They never really talk about rumors. I mean, all month long, it's been rumored that we're going to have a Nintendo Direct, and what does Nintendo do? They throw a curveball and they give us a release date for Yoshi instead of and a trailer versus, here's a half-hour Direct that's talking about all of the games that you expect. But no, we're just going to show you games piecemeal. And that just seems to be the Nintendo way. I mean, I'm excited about some of these games. Like, there are a few games here that actually aren't on the Super NES Classic Edition, like Poppin' Bee and
Breath of Fire 2.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Kirby's Dream Land 3, The Legend of the Mystical Ninja. Super Mario All-Stars isn't on there either. So there are games here that are worthwhile, but nothing that's really jumping out at me as a must-have just yet. I mean, but that being said, the Super NES has a huge library of games. So
right.
You never know. It kind of makes me long for the Virtual Console. Remember the Virtual Console had Sega games on there and whatnot, and TurboGrafx 16 and whatnot. I wish they'd do more, but it's just Nintendo feels like they're gonna do things their own way with the Switch, and for the most part, they've done a really good job of putting out enough new content that this old content seems somewhat irrelevant. That being said, I kind of like the Classic Edition model more than I like this. Something about having that physical little piece of hardware that just it looks good on my shelf. I'd rather have them do more of those. Although, could you imagine them packing the controllers for the game for the N64 would dwarf the size of that mini console?
Yeah. Imagine a GameCube mini. The cube would be nice, but then the controllers, how is that going to work? I don't know. But
at least with the GameCube, they could just reuse the Smash controllers. If they just use the old Smash controllers, you'd be fine. Especially with all these Smash games taking off, with the way Ultimate's taking fire. I'm pretty sure people will do whatever they can to get their hands on more physical GameCube controllers with wired versions.
The one thing two games I see missing from this list that I'd need. I believe that the Super NES Classic has one of them, which is Super Mario RPG Golden Stars. That needs to be on here. That's on the SNES Classic, and Donkey Kong Country isn't on here, and that's not surprising.
Neither of them. There are 3 Donkey Kong Country games, and not a single one is on this list.
I noticed the lack of the Mario RPG. I didn't realize that Donkey Kong Country wasn't on there. Now that you mention it.
No, but I am glad to see that we have Kirby's Dream Course, Kirby's Dream Land 3, and Kirby Superstar. So that is nice. I also see Pilot Wings, which will be a fun time.
Yeah, definitely.
I also think is a solid choice. A lot of good games. We got our standards, which is nice, except for Donkey Kong. And that's still kind of boggling me. One thing I want to point out with the tweet about the other emulators from @OatmealDome, I was going through the tweet earlier, a couple days ago, and I don't remember who actually said the tweet, but there's over 400 people tweeting about on this now, and I'm not going to look through it. But they mentioned that the 4th emulator on here could be, it's called Count, and that it might be just the count of how many emulators there are, so that would be 3. And that's all that would be. And so there'd only be 3 emulators, and Count is just a file for how many there are.
Right.
Yoko might not be an N64 emulator either. I believe it would probably be a Game Boy emulator.
Oh, that's right. It could be that too.
Yeah, which would kind of be my hope. I would want an N64 one too. But also, Pokemon through this subscription service would be great. The Mario Luigi RPGs, there's so many good Game Boy games that really deserve a virtual console kind of treatment. but there's so many you have to buy. A subscription for Game Boy games would be nice.
Yeah, that's true.
I would prefer advanced, but then I just go like color and original Game Boy. I don't know, but we'll see. We'll see when we get there. For right now, we only have the confirmed NES, the rumored SNES, and I mean also one thing that kind of just occurred to me: if they do drop the SNES games, would these be all the games we get on day one, or would they do just Super Mario Kart, Super Soccer, and Legend of Zelda day one, and then do them?
The way they're doing it now is like with the NES games, they're like releasing like 2 titles like a month.
A month, yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised to see that same format. Maybe like.
But would we get more launch and then later to a month?
I would say we get like 11 at launch, like because there are 22 games that are listed here. I'd say we get like half of them, and then the other half would just kind of make its way, down on a monthly basis, maybe a bi-weekly schedule.
Well, also, how many did it start with? Didn't it start with 20 with the NES?
Started with a pretty good number.
Yeah, it started with 20 originally. So then that would make sense for 20 SNES games to start too, and then next month have 2 more, 22.
Yeah, I'm hoping that, like, honestly, we get this for the initial launch, and then they trickle out more surprises over time. That would be my ideal, personally. But I mean, either which way is kind of a good model, right? So I don't think there's a wrong way to do it from this standpoint.
We're getting games.
The wrong way would be to just release like 2. So, but yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, we're at a point where it really can't get much worse as far as like how Nintendo is handling the release of these books. I'm sorry, I said book of these games. I'm sorry. I'm trying to correspond an interview with Blake J. Harris again for his new book. I kind of want to get him back on the show, so I'm kind of going through that. I'm trying to get a review copy of the book for the show. So anyhow, sorry about that. Yeah, the way that Nintendo's handling the release of the NES classic titles has really kind of ticked off a lot of people. I don't know. I'm not playing my Switch to play these classic titles. I don't think anybody really is. I think Nintendo did a really good job of segmenting their market in the best possible way with these classic edition systems. The classic edition systems are the systems that are designed to bring back lapsed gamers, and it's a nice way for Nintendo to make a little extra cash on the side. Because the people who don't play video games anymore, they're not buying Switches to play new games. They're not buying Switches at all. They're gonna. If you're giving them a choice between a $100 console and a $250 start to a console, then they're going to opt for hey, I remember these games and they're all here, so I'm going to get this system.
Right.
It's the same thing that Sony tried to do. It's just that Sony used very bad emulation for the PS Mini.
Yeah, among some other things, that was a disaster.
Oh well, and they just had a shitty game selection as well. They did have Final Fantasy VII, so I'll give them that.
But we're getting Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah,
right.
We're getting 10 and 10-2 in.
We're getting like
month,
every
right?
Final Fantasy game, including the Chocobo title. We are literally getting the games that would have made the Vita a legitimate console, and like Square said, no. What I don't know what happened there. To this day, I'm like, these games would have saved the Vita from its long, cancerous, slow death. And they never came. It's weird to see them all coming onto the Switch now. Wow, it is what it is. I don't know. The only thing that's going to make the Switch a little bit more enticing from Square is if they somehow port Kingdom Hearts 3 onto the Switch. I know it's impossible, but man can dream. All right, so...
Don't say impossible. If 2018 has proved anything to me in the gaming industry, nothing is impossible. So, that's my takeaway from 2018. Nothing's impossible.
True that. All right, so we got 2 more stories. We can kind of talk about them at the same time. So it's all very Dragon Ball centric, and the reason I'm closing out with these news stories is because Dragon Ball Super Broly opens up today, and I'm gonna go watch it. I'm going to go watch it when we're done recording this episode. So first and foremost, on Monday, Bandai Namco did a Twitch stream, and it was a very lackluster Twitch stream, to say the least. They talked about Xenoverse 2. They talked about Dragon Ball FighterZ, but they didn't say any new content was coming to those games specifically. They kind of hinted about a Season 2 character pass for Dragon Ball FighterZ, but that was it. They're like, if you want to find out more about what's coming to Dragon Ball FighterZ, you're going to have to watch another stream on the 26th of January. But I think what the big news about this stream was that they actually confirmed that Super Dragon Ball Heroes World Mission is going to get a U.S. release. Now, back in October is when we recorded our last episode of the show before we went on our holiday break. And on that episode, I vehemently declared that this game wasn't going to get a stateside release. I am now eating crow, ladies and gentlemen. It's one of the times that I have been completely, absolutely wrong about one of my predictions. So, guys, Bandai Namco, I'm sorry for doubting you. Thank you, because it's only 8 years later, and you've released versions of this game on the 3DS for like the last 5 years. We're finally getting one, and I think that's what's exciting, is that we're finally going to get a chance to play this game in the States, and I think this is the perfect platform for it. Having this game on the Switch makes a lot of sense. It's also coming to Steam, but
yeah.
I don't know. But they did announce today that there would not be cross-play between the Steam version and the Switch version, which kind of bums me out. And it just kind of, I don't know which version will be more desirable. I guess if you want a more graphically intensive version, you'd go for the Steam version. But I think, honestly, a game like Super Dragon Ball Heroes, and considering how good Xenoverse 2 looks in its transition to the Switch and how great Dragon Ball FighterZ looks on the Switch, I think that the Switch version can hold up to whatever the arcade counterpart for this game is graphically. I'm excited about this. I'm legitimately excited about this. It's going to have an all-new story mode that is not in the arcades, which makes it a little bit more enticing for Japanese players, because they're going to have extra content that they can't play in the arcades. And for us here in the West, we're finally getting this damn game.
Right.
That's great, because this game is 8 years old. Can you think of a game, any other game, that got 8 years of support besides World of Warcraft? And I can't, like, off the top of my head, I can't think of a single game that has gotten 8 continuous years of support, and not to the extent that Dragon Ball Super Dragon Ball Heroes has. They've got a mini anime that debuts over there. They've got the game. They've got the handheld versions of the game. They've got the countless cards, which they said every single card is going to be accessible within the physical version of this game. And they have action figures galore based off of this one video game. Like this might be the most single successful piece of Dragon Ball, like, to come out in years, because of how much dedication the developers have put into this game. So I'm super excited about this news. I'm eating crow, ladies and gentlemen. I take it back. Bandai Namco may have finally realized how much we want this game in other territories. And if I'm gonna venture a guess as to why, it's because they're realizing how many people are pirating the anime version of the mini anime, the promotional anime that they're doing for Super Dragon Ball Heroes.
Right.
Like, I think they saw what, so many people are pirating this this mini anime that we're starting to see that there is a global demand for this game. We'll go ahead and do it then.
Well, there's also another thing that they've been doing that I mentioned back in October. They've been releasing a lot of Japan-only games in the Asia region, with not only Chinese subtitles, but English subtitles as well. And so a lot of people, like me, what we've been doing is we've been importing those games. So not only can they look at torrents of, or try and track to see how many people are watching the anime, they actually have some sales figures that they can look at, right? And so I have to imagine that sales figures for some of their more obscure Japan-only, Asia-only titles have kind of contributed to some of these business decisions, right?
Yeah, I could totally get on board with that. I'm just really excited about this news, man.
Yeah.
I have been wanting to play this game for years, and it's actually one of the things it's like I have a list of things that I'm going to do when I go visit Japan.
Right.
This was actually at the top of that list because, like, at the top of the list is go to an arcade, and then there are certain games that I wanted to play in that arcade that include like Pokemon Ga Ale and Super Dragon Ball Heroes.
Right.
And now this one, now that I don't have to prioritize that specific game as much, which is nice. I'm glad this is finally coming. But I think I'm bored with what you're saying, that they have gone and done the subtitles for this. But I think this is a much bigger task now, because typically what Bandai Namco does is that they kind of like hire Funimation to go ahead and do like the English voice cast. So, I mean, this game comes out in March. It
may just have Japan only, honestly. We may just not get English dubs, which I'm okay with. So.
I mean, I can live with it. I do enjoy the English. The Japanese voice cast.
Right.
But if you ask me personally, I really love the Funimation dub. Like,
yeah, they're good. Don't get me wrong.
They're so good with Dragon Ball, and they've gotten better recently too. Like the Dragon Ball Super dub is it's so much better than Dragon Ball.
It's really good.
Dub. So I would really love to hear, like Chris Sabat and Sean Shamil at the very least, like reprising the role of Goku and Vegeta. But I mean, when I play Dragon Ball FighterZ, I don't play that in English, so I guess I could live without it. I actually play Fighters in with Japanese and English subtitles.
But real quick though, we should probably contextualize what Dragon Ball Heroes is. I don't think we mentioned that. Dragon Ball Heroes is an arcade game. Initially started as an arcade game that uses cards to play with the game, like trading cards. So Japan has
NFC capable trading cards.
Yeah, there are RFC, NFC capable. So Japan has this cool thing where they have a bunch of different arcade games with either cards or other sort of collectible stuff that have NFC chips in them. I think Yokai Watch has something similar where they have like little card medallion things, if I'm remembering correctly.
Pokemon Ga Ole is the biggest one right now in Japan. Right. It's like the only other. So basically, in terms of popularity, Super is the most popular arcade game in Japan, and then Pokemon Ga Ole. And Ga Ole uses a similar formula, but instead of like trading cards, they use these little plastic pieces. And I actually have one. My brother brought me one from when he went to Japan. I should look for it. It's here somewhere. But he brought me one, and basically they function just like Amiibo. They have they read and they write. So whatever upgrades you make to the character in game, you can put on the card. And the artwork on these cards is phenomenal. If you've played Pokemon Dokkan Battle on your mobile device, you should recognize similar artwork.
Right. And so it's kind of cool for people like me who kind of grew up in the 90s with shows like Yu-Gi-Oh, where you'd have the cards and you put them in a machine and then they'd pop up to life. So it's kind of similar in concept to that. So from that standpoint, super cool. But I think
sorry about that. Okay, so if you're watching the video version again, I'm sorry for all my audio listeners. This is one of the Pokemon Ga Ole cards. This one's actually kind of rare. It's a female. I can't remember the name of this Pokemon right now.
Salazzle. Of all forms of Salandit. Can only be female. Fire, poison type. Ability is Corrosion, I think. Allows you to poison steel types.
And there's Blue's our local Pokemon expert. Yes. This is one of the Ga Ole cards. So it's plastic. The Dragon Ball Super Dragon Ball Hero cards, they're just traditional cardboard cards. But like I said, like Jada was describing, you're gonna take this card, you're gonna put it on the play field because there's an actual board on the thing with where that indicates where you should place your cards. It's gonna scan them, and whichever character you have on the card will be reflected in the game.
You put it on your dual disc, and holograms appear.
Basically, yeah, that's what I was trying to say. So, super cool concept. You can see why this picks up in a place like Japan, where they still have an arcade culture. I wish America did, because then we might be able to see these things, but that's one of the shitty things where America went. So
we're seeing Dragon Ball Super here, or Dragon Ball Heroes. What is it called? I don't follow Dragon Ball. I don't know any of them.
Super Dragon Ball Heroes.
Super Dragon Ball Heroes. Thank you. You guys are the experts on this. I can't really contribute to this topic, so I'm kind of muted here. But
we were just explaining what it is, basically.
Yeah.
And so basically, they're going to take the card game and put it into a video game format. And as such, my honest opinion, get it on the Switch because then it's mobile and you can take it with you and beat your friends in person. So,
but my laptop is portable too.
Yeah, but like, okay, so I don't do Steam. So what is the superior way to play Steam? Is the superior way to play Steam on your PC, or is it to get one of those, or is it to get like one of the, or is it to get like one of those like Steam machines? The problem with like I've always been interested in getting like a Steam machine, but then there's like 50 different variations of that. Like, which one do I get? Or
Steam machines are basically just pre-made PCs. That's all they are. In a really nice case with, instead of running Windows OS, it runs a proprietary Steam operating system. So
it also hooks up to a TV better. It's like a console than a computer, so it hooks up to a TV better than a computer might.
Yeah, honestly, I think the thing that's putting me over for the Switch edition is that it's gonna have local multiplayer where like you can connect your Switches to each other locally to play like the game. That's the thing that's like really putting me with it. Like even more so than the portability factor is the fact that it's gonna be a lot easier to have multiplayer, face-to-face local match, and that's. I still really enjoy playing video games locally. I'm like, I play games online all the time, but I will always have the preference to couch co-op.
Yeah, there's something a little bit different. Honestly, you can't. It's hard to really. You can't put it into words, but for me personally, like there's something about being in the same room. Like this is why I like Monster Hunter Double Cross over World, because being in the same room with your buddies, all on the Switch, killing things is to me a better experience.
It goes back to classic arcade culture, like
where you go back to Street Fighter, put your token on the cabinet, and like I'm next.
Like that that's how gaming, like that's gaming at its best. It's like when you and your opponent are in the same room, you can look each other dead in the eyes, stand side by side, and talk trash to each other while you do it. And and at least this way you know beforehand that you're talking trash to a 12-year-old instead of having you suck come out of your headphones. No, but I'm super excited about this news. I love Dragon Ball. I've recently gotten very into Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 on the Switch. And Dragon Ball FighterZ is, if it's not one of my, it may be my game of the year. Like it's really close between FighterZ and Smash Ultimate as my game of the year, because they're both really good games. But I think what Dragon Ball FighterZ's art style really helps it. It goes a long way into part of the reason why I love that game. And while we're on the topic of Dragon Ball FighterZ, we might as well go from Dragon Ball Supers into this new Dragon Ball news that was announced this morning. So on the 26th of January, there's going to be the Dragon Ball Fighters Championships, and they said that they would unveil possible season 2 characters. Right now, it's looking like they're going to reveal Jiren from the Tournament of Power arc. Basically the last big bad of the series before the show went dark. It looks like they're going to add him as a playable character. I know a lot of people are excited for Jiren. Personally, I would have rather had a character like Topo or I'm not going to lie, I would rather have Kale or Caulifla over Jiren. I think Jiren's a little bit boring. But that being said, we might get those characters. This is going to be our first character reveal, supposedly. And right now, we're going to go big with Jiren the Grey. So, yeah, I'm excited that Dragon Ball FighterZ is continuing to get support. This is coming after a lot of backlash that the game has taken as of late because it's being pulled from a lot of local tournaments. It is confirmed for EVO, but a couple of tournaments have pulled it from their stream list. And nobody knows exactly why. Like TOs aren't being forthcoming with as to why the game is being pulled from their tournaments.
Some rumors have been saying it's because Toei Animation, basically, what the hell did they do exactly? They did some sort of legal thing where only they could.
But yeah, right. I would believe that, but then like literally a couple days ago, Toei came out and just straight up debunked that. They're like, we have nothing to do with the reason why these are being pulled. We want people to play this game in tournaments. We want the exposure.
Right.
Like Toei, and Toei is not innocent in copyright striking, especially recently. I don't know if anybody here follows Geekdom 101. If you don't, and you love Dragon Ball, watch his channel. He has one of the best Dragon Ball channels on YouTube. But Geekdom got hit with some copyright strikes back in October, November, and that really messed up his channel for a couple weeks. I mean, he's back on track now, but
right,
really this stuff up. Toei is not innocent at striking, but they came out and straight up said this was not us.
Right.
The problem is that like there are other companies that are involved with the development of Dragon Ball FighterZ, like Arc System Works and a couple other companies. The rumor right now is that those companies may be the reason for the game not being in tournaments, but I don't know about. I don't think it's Arc System Works. Arc System
That
Works.
wouldn't make sense, honestly, because it's their game. How would they profit off of that? It's free publicity that they'd be passing up. That just doesn't make any sense. So
it's got to be one of the other people that is involved with the development or the license for this game that's kind of just cock blocking these tournaments. But that being said, it's nice to hear some possible good news about this game.
Right.
So we'll find out on the 26th. And the last piece of Dragon Ball news is that we are getting a new Dragon Ball action RPG. Now, this is the news that scares me the most. Now, my friend hit me up earlier today and told me, he's like, yo, but Xenoverse and Xenoverse 2 are kind of like action RPGs.
Right.
In a minimal sense, like in a very minimal sense. But when I think about Dragon Ball action RPGs, I have these terrible flashbacks to this game called Dragon Ball Sagas that was on the PS2.
Oh, right.
Is literally one of the absolute worst video games I've ever played in my life. So I'm like having these like really bad flashbacks to that. But then I'm thinking to myself, well, that was made by Atari, and now we're in this like Bandai Namco era of Dragon Ball games.
Right.
Maybe this game will be good. Now they haven't announced any platforms for this game.
I thought it was supposed to be on the Switch. That's what I thought.
For this action RPG, they haven't announced any platforms. And I think and the reason I bring this story up is because I think this is part of the reason why we're getting Super Dragon Ball Heroes World Mission on the Switch, because I think this game, this new action RPG, might not come out on the Switch, but they definitely want to have content for the Switch. So that's why they're releasing World Mission, because it's a game that they can easily port over, because it uses a very similar engine to what they're using in Xenoverse 1 and 2, if not the exact same engine. And they don't have to work that hard to do this port, whereas this new game is a new action RPG being built from the ground up, and maybe it may be too powerful for the Switch. I'm not saying that it is, but it just may not be coming to the Switch. But I believe Bandai is like, hey, we've released 2 Dragon Ball games on the Switch. They've both sold phenomenally well. We don't want to leave the Switch users out, so we're going to release this game on the Switch that everybody's been asking for. And I think that's the real reason why we're getting Super Dragon Ball Heroes, is because this action RPG is not coming to the Switch. That's just my conjecture here. Like, don't take everything I say with a grain of salt, because obviously I said this game wasn't coming. I said Super Dragon Ball Heroes wasn't coming stateside, so I have been clearly shut down by Bandai. But yeah, I think that's the reason why we're getting the game. I am excited. I mean, as a PS4 owner, that if this game does come to the PS4, that I'll still have a platform to play it on. But right now, I'm going to be really skeptical, because I'm like I said, I remember Dragon Ball Sagas, and I think this game is the reason why we're getting Super on the Switch. Anyway, those are my thoughts on that. Anybody got anything else to say before we go ahead and take a quick 5-minute break?
Nothing more than, just to take a wait and see approach. It'll be about 10 days before we probably hear more about the new Dragon Ball RPG, if they decide to take that time to talk about it a bit more. And if not, then we'll find out in the future. So here's hoping that maybe it'll be Xenoverse 3. Ha! But
if it's Xenoverse PS3 and it's not coming to the Switch, I'm gonna be really pissed.
Yeah, I'd be super mad. Yeah, but that's just
Yeah, because I've had Xenoverse on the PS4 and the Switch. Yeah, I'll tell you straight up right now, I prefer it on the Switch. I prefer
Right.
being able to. I prefer the ability to play that game on the go. So
Oh
yeah,
no, 110%. I bought Xenoverse 2 twice. I bought it on the PC, and then I bought it again when the Switch version came out, and I do not want to go back to a non-portable version of that game. That's
exactly.
just
All right.
All right, so we're
guys,
done with Dragon Ball.
yeah,
Yeah.
we're gonna
Cool,
take
I'm safe.
We're going to take a quick 5-minute commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to hit you up with our 2018 highlights and our 2019 predictions. So, guys, don't go anywhere. We will be right back.
When we did our interview with Ian Flynn, did we ever ask him about Sonic's name being Ogilvy Maurice Hedgehog? I don't think we did we?
No, but I mean, I remember that the Maurice nickname or middle name was that predates him.
Oh, it does? Okay.
Yeah, that was Pender's thing.
Okay.
And we all know that Pender's is the reason why. Pender's is the death knell of of Sonic the Hedgehog at Archie.
Okay. That just randomly appeared back in my head for some reason, and I'm like, I was talking to Ian Flynn. I could ask him this question, but no, that makes it more sense.
There we go.
Oh, man, I need to take a nap. I don't have a lot of time. After this, I still gotta cook, take a shower, get dressed, go to the movies.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. That's tonight, huh?
Yep.
Brawly, the thing I don't know what everyone's talking about Brawly. I don't know what it means. I guess he's a good character, but
He was like one of the absurdly strong Super Saiyans way back in the day.
well,
Basically, he was a movie-only character, and that's
Right.
not really. Except now he's a movie-only character, but it's part of like actual continuity. Since we're finally making movies that have something to do with continuity now.
Right.
I saw the My Hero Academia movie a couple months ago. I haven't actually watched that show, but I went with my brother, and the fact that their movie actually has continuity with that manga and that anime I thought that was actually really dope. It's like, why have we been getting like side stories for like decades of anime films, and now we're finally getting them where they actually tie into the real continuity?
like how they did that was really cool. Sorry.
I mean, that's just. I think it's been mostly like a Dragon Ball thing. They've been a bit more notorious about it than others say, and I don't know why.
The Yu Yu Hakusho had two movies, and they were both like side stories that have no bearing on the actual like story of the anime and the manga.
I mean, sorry, go for it.
No, I was saying that, but it was interesting to me to find out that the My Hero Academia stuff actually had the film will have ramifications within the manga and the anime itself. So, like that's dope. Like, why is this not a thing for Dragon Ball? And now it is.
It was really cool how they kind of presented it too. So they went back to a previous time, like just before the season finale, and they're just like, hey, remember like last summer that this is what didn't happen. And then they're like, okay, well, this is the events just before the movie that you can see. And the movie is very important, so you should see the movie. And I like a really good finale.
I've never read it or watched it before, but I was like, after watching the movie, I was like, okay, I'm definitely
have my attention.
I might have to start picking this up.
That's good. You should check into it. It's the art style is really what gets me. I really like the art style. It's a nice combination of like Japanese anime with some like over the top Western superhero.
Well, it's like the reverse of what like Avatar: The Last Airbender and Teen Titans did. It's like the reverse of that. We're like,
right.
We're U.S. cartoons, but we're gonna take all our influences from anime, and they're like, okay, well, we're an anime, but we're gonna take our influences from like Western comic books.
Yeah,
it's kind of cool inverse.
Yeah, what I like about the source material is that he looks at, All Might. All Might is a more American superhero. He has the American, even shading to his design, which is really cool. Right. And when he goes to America, he looks like more of an anime character too. So like, you can contrast it that way. All of his characters don't have that whole same faceness too, which is great. So all of his characters have a lot of personality, differences in design, powers. And it all makes a great cast. But what's great about the anime is that the studio making it, Studio Bones, does really, really good fight scenes.
And their Fullmetal Alchemist was their work on Fullmetal Alchemist was amazing.
And so the fight scenes in My Hero Academia are already really good. They just make them better, and there's actual plot happening in the fight scene. So what's better than that?
Yeah, they're good stuff.
All right,
I'm done now. We can continue talking about Nintendo here.
All right, so let's go ahead and jump back in. And welcome back to the Nintendo Power Zone, ladies and gentlemen. If you are just now joining us, we're going to do our topic of the fortnight. And it's been a while since we've done a show. So what we want to do in our comeback episode is we want to do a 2018 highlight and a 2019 prediction thing here. So we've each got 3 highlights from 2018, and we're gonna bring those out. We're gonna discuss them with you, and then after we've done all the highlights, we're each gonna talk about 2 2019 predictions, and we'll discuss those in the same vein. So I want to kick things off. My highlight for 2019 is Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. The announcement, the hype train, and the ultimate release of the game, all within a calendar year. It's never really happened before. Normally Smash games get announced and then it's like years before they actually released, particularly in the case of Brawl, which got hit with delay after delay after delay. Thankfully, Nintendo was in a situation where, they could hold off on a Smash game because the Wii was such a popular console and then ultimately Super Smash Bros. Brawl was like one of the best-selling games on that console. But yeah, Smash Ultimate getting announced and released within like 9 months was amazing. Like, and it's not like they didn't properly build hype for that game with the amount of time that they had. Like, they had a couple directs, they focused their E3 on it, and we got a nice proper build-up for this game. And on top of that, like, you look at the game, and it truly is the ultimate version of Smash Bros. Every single character is in the game. You have a nice, cool story mode with the World of Light. You have your classic modes. You have all these amazing stages to play on. And you have an online system that works far better than the Wii or the Wii U version. It's not perfect, but it's much better than the previous iterations of Smash. And the game is just all around faster, so it feels really, really good. Right now I'm maining Pichu, which is a lot of fun. it's so much fun to watch. Like when somebody gets bodied by a Pichu because they don't like it. It's like getting beat by Dan in Street Fighter, because you know how Pichu kind of hurts himself with every one of his electric attacks. But yeah, he's Pichu's actually pretty beastly in this game, yo. Now I wouldn't say he's top tier, but Pichu's got some potential. And obviously I got my mainstay Pikachu, who I've been playing Smash with since, pretty much day one.
Right.
But I do love the game. I have not spent as much time with this game as I would have liked to. The last couple months have been really hectic over here for me, so I haven't played as much of the game as I would like, but it's still a real true highlight for me because they announced this game in March and then it was released in December. That is amazing. And then the way they did it with that Inkling reveal trailer, one of the best Smash reveal trailers they've ever done, because it kind of tricked me because it actually had me thinking that like maybe Splatoon was going to come to like the 3DS or something with the way they did that first trailer, because it was such a callback to the original reveal trailer for Splatoon that I almost like fell into the trap where like I didn't think it was a Smash game initially. But yeah, that is one of my biggest highlights of 2018. Guys, what are your thoughts on Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, right quick?
Well, I'm gonna say that it paid off, right? Like it was the #1 bestseller on Amazon for the holiday season. That's fantastic. That's phenomenal.
Not just for the holiday season, it's the #1 selling product on Amazon for the entire year of 2018.
Right.
The whole year.
Crazy.
It paid off. So.
It's a great game. It really is everything you could want. It feels great. It plays great. There's some modes that were cut, and that's unfortunate. Sometimes wouldn't even mind it if they were just directly ported. Like, get me just a complete report of Smash Tour of all things. But I mean, the online people have already talked about that. You don't need to hear it from me. But it's a great game. It's got almost 70 if you count Piranha Plant, and then 5 more for DLC coming later. Smash Bros.
Yeah, I'm gonna say like the only thing I really miss in terms of features, I really liked how in the previous iteration they had the ability to change moves. I thought that was customize that, and that is my one disappointment. I really wanted that feature back, and it's not there. But other than that,
there's 70 fighters.
Right.
9 plus Piranha Plant.
And on top of that, this game is a little bit more catered to the competitive scene than any other previous Smash game. I mean, when you started adding like additional movesets for the characters, it kind of like messed with like how the tournament scene worked. Now that being said, there are things that I really wish the tournament scene would embrace, like the Smash meter. I think the Smash meter is a fun mechanic, and it's just like a super in Dragon Ball FighterZ or a super in
HOP.
Right.
Like it's your comeback mechanic. Come on, it makes the game more visually interesting. Let's put the Smash meters in competitive play.
But that makes like Rosalina instantly drop a whole tier and Daisy Peach up a whole tier just by having that.
People will get around it.
I'm gonna hope they will, but
Peach has been top tier since Melee, so
I mean she was bad in Brawl and Smash 4, but now I'm glad to see she's good again. But the Smash makes her even better. Tell me I'm wrong. It's by far one of the best in the game.
So
3 healing, 3 damage.
Who has the next highlight for me?
I'm still trying to think of my other 2. I'm not sure if Jaden has one yet.
Sure, I got one.
Yeah, okay.
I will say generally the amount of JRPG support, like niche JRPG support in 2018, we saw a lot of really solid titles release. Valkyria Chronicles 4, they even re-released 1 on the eShop. We saw Disgaea 1 re-release. Labyrinth of Refrain was a fantastic title. They released all 3 of the Atelier classics, and there's a new Atelier coming out. So really, we're seeing a great... the floodgates have started to open for niche JRPG titles. So
we
for
just
me...
got Tales of Vesperia too, right?
Yeah. So that'll be in 2019 technically. But,
oh, you're right.
Yeah, but for 2018, we've really got to see a lot of a lot more niche JRPG titles from niche software come out, and I'm ecstatic. It's made by Blacklog, super big.
Well, and not just that, but we look at the the JRPG support as a whole. We also got The World Ends With You.
Right.
Even though it may not be the best edition of the game, it did come, and we also got the massively successful Octopath
Traveler, which is my next highlight.
So, you look at these RPGs, man, and yeah, the Switch did have an excellent JRPG here.
So like I just said, Octopath Traveler is probably my first highlight because it's a new IP. This is from the guys that did Edward Square Enix. They did Bravely Default, Bravely Second. This is their attempt at sort of storybook pop-up vibe, and it does it so well as using like traditional pixelated sprites, and it's a gorgeous game with that art style. The battle system I like a lot more than the Brave and Default system in Bravely Default. It's the same thing, except better, because instead of instead of braving and defaulting for extra attacks and more defense or whatever, everything you do can become better, and that's just more fun to destroy your enemies with. I don't know. So it's a beautiful game. It is a fun game to the battle combat. The progression could be a bit slow at times, but it was, for a new IP, it was phenomenal. I'm glad to see it have a nice home and Switch, and I hope to see 9-to-Path. I don't know.
The success of
9-to-Path Traveler.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's too funny.
The success of Octopath led to Square Enix coming up with a whole division that's purely focused on the Nintendo Switch. That one game allowed them to say the Switch is a platform that we need to dedicate an entire team for. And that in and of itself just goes to show like how great of a year the Switch had in and of itself. But it just goes to show like the platform is a little bit more viable in terms of what can be considered like a AAA title. Like where a game that's clearly supposed to be a throwback to the classic era of JRPGs, and to see it be as successful as it was, like it just goes to show that the versatility of the system itself, the mentality that comes with this portable / home console, it's infamous in my opinion. The way Nintendo managed to do that, and the way that developers are learning to embrace that in new and interesting ways. And I think Octopath Traveler, it definitely is like it might be the breakout game to show, hey, just because the system isn't like PS4 capable doesn't mean that you can't be innovative enough to come out with your own style. Like visually, Octopath goes toe to toe with games like Breath of the Wild for me, because it's supposed to look like it's old,
right?
But then they're like, yeah, no, it's supposed to look old, but it's also supposed to look contemporary at the same time. And they did that in a way that the only other game that I can think that does it that well is the Paper Mario series.
Yeah, okay.
Respectable. I see it. Yeah.
All right.
That actually leads to a bigger industry shift. I hope. I've been hoping this for a while, but I mean, I think that Western developers, they rely too much on visuals to make up for shitty gameplay. So, I mean, I'm hoping that it really picks up in that direction, but I'm not confident that the Western developers will pick up on that.
All right. I agree. Okay, so moving on to my next highlight, Pokemon Let's Go. I have been excited about this game from the moment they had that direct announcing it. Now, I know it's gotten a lot of backlash. It's definitely not your traditional Pokemon game, but there are things in this particular game that I kind of want to see in the next mainline game. I actually enjoy throwing my Joy-Con to catch Pokemon. Now, I stopped using this. Now, if you're not, again, audio version, I'm holding the Pokeball Go Plus. This is not a bad accessory. It's just not optimum. But I do actually enjoy the throwing mechanic. That's something fun. But I would enjoy it more if it proceeded with the battling of Pokemon beforehand. Like, it'd be nice if you had the option to either do a button press to catch the Pokemon or the throw mechanics. but only after you've battled the Pokemon. Like in Let's Go, there are certain Pokemon you actually do have to battle, like the Snorlaxes and the Legendaries. I actually enjoy battling them before the catch. So I would like to see that implemented. You prove with Let's Go that is something that you're physically capable of doing, of having both mechanics within the game. So let's go ahead and do that. Pokemon in the overworld, I don't think I can go back to searching the tall grass for a random Pokemon. I loved seeing Pokemon in the real world, in the real world map, and it makes sense. All other RPGs have gone this route, and the anime and the mangas and the movies for Pokemon have always shown a world that's vastly filled with Pokemon, and the games have done a very poor job of reflecting that in the mainline games. Like the side games do a really good job of showing you how like fully immersed the world is in Pokemon. Like Detective Pikachu, while not the best Pokemon game in the bunch, really went out of its way to show you that the world was populated with Pokemon. And the same thing for the Pokemon Ranger games and the Pokemon Battle Dungeon games have all gone out of the way to show you that this world is brimming with Pokemon all over the place. And Let's Go does that same thing, but it arguably does it better than any of those games because all of those Pokemon are catchable. And it just comes down to whether or not you're good enough to make that catch. But those are the kinds of things that like I saw in Pokemon Let's Go that I'm like, the next mainline game needs these mechanics. So while Pokemon Let's Go may not be a true success in and of itself, it does things well enough that I think that it should be a highlight for 2018 because it's like, hey, we're showing you a new way to play the game. On top of that, think of all the people that got bridged into Pokemon from Pokemon Go. So there are people whose only Pokemon experience was Pokemon Go, and now they see Pokemon Let's Go, they see a very similar playstyle, and they're like, I want a Nintendo Switch. I want to play Pokemon Let's Go, which may in turn get them to buy the 2019 Pokemon game. And that's great. I mean, it's gotten to the point where like Ariana Grande has such a good time playing Pokemon Let's Go Eevee that she went and got a fucking Eevee tattoo over the weekend. So yeah, there you go. Hate to bring it back to Ariana Grande, but that happened.
No. That's us trying to wrap in the youth to our podcast. That's what we're doing. We're diversifying.
You've already lost me.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to know how you feel about the co-op in the One Joy-Con feature, though. How do you feel about that?
I actually really liked playing with just the one Joy-Con.
Mm-hmm.
I hated it at first, but the more I did it, I'm kind of like, no, this makes sense, actually.
Well,
this works.
I have a habit of multitasking excessively.
Mm-hmm.
And Pokemon games before, every video game, let's be honest, every video game up until this point has always been you need both hands on the controller and you are not free to do anything. You want to take a sip of that coffee?
Put a controller down.
Yeah, you got to put something down. You can't just... With Pokemon Let's Go, I was just chilling on the couch.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I love about it.
I'd be sitting down and I'd be just like this. For like the first couple weeks that I had the game, because I was playing with the Pokemon Go Plus, I'd be sitting there with the thing on my hand like this, and I'd be like,
just like leaning back with the Pokeball Plus in his hand, sipping a cola, throwing his arm.
Yeah, and just throwing. Yeah, I'd be chilling. I would be chilling, and that was like such a great experience. And I felt free to do everything else. So I'd be listening to music on my headphones. I'd like have my phone on. I'd be reading like an article on my phone in the middle of like trying to catch something. Like I had a lot more freedom with this game, and I actually enjoyed that. Like the single Joy-Con thing, I didn't think it would work at first. Like, and it does. There is a learning curve. That much is true. Like, if you are programmed to, if you're hardwired to play Pokemon games the way you've been playing them for 24 years, you're gonna be stuck in a rut in the beginning. But you start to get used to it. And even with the throwing mechanics, you start to learn that there are better ways to throw the ball than like just that overarching throw. Where like
underhand toss.
Well, a lot of people who reviewed the game kept talking about how off the throwing mechanics were, and I was like, you're not doing it right. Well, it's not that you're not doing it right, but like the more time you spend with the game, like you should become more adept at doing it, but then you should start learning the little tricks. Like I learned that when the Pokemon moves to the side of the screen to throw like a curveball. Like I would throw a curveball and I would always hit with like an excellent throw, or the like B said, to underhand the ball. Like the more I played like that, the more I started to learn there were tricks to making the ball go where I wanted, and then I started missing very small percentages of my catches. The Pokemon just had to be a real big jerk and not want me to catch it for me to miss.
Right. And you actually touched on another point that I was right about to get to with this game. So I'll admit, like, I only just picked this game up like 3 weeks ago, right before the year ended, right? And what you've touched on is 2 points about Let's Go that fundamentally makes it different. One, it's casual. You can enjoy it from a casual perspective, right? And so you do have the freedom to kind of have it in the background and multitask and do something else, and you do not feel punished for it, right? You do not feel like you're missing out on the game itself. Like try playing Red Dead Redemption 2, for example, casually. It just doesn't fucking work. You can't. You feel guilty because you're not in it 100%. Pokemon Let's Go does not have that degree of pretension. But here's
you can half-ass everything in this game.
Right, but here's the second point.
But the same point on the same token is you can also really be immersed in the game with the throw. Like if you invest yourself in the throw mechanics, you can actually immerse yourself in the game in a way that you never could in previous Pokemon games.
Right, and this is the second point that I was getting to. They didn't just leave it there, right? They actually managed to create in the system depth to it, in not only the mechanic of the throwing, but also in terms of, say, shiny farming or the awakening candy or the chain combos. There's some actually good depth here in terms of the game itself. And so from that standpoint, there's, a little bit of something for everyone. And that's what I really particularly enjoy about Let's Go. I've been shiny all day, so.
Now, before we move on from Let's Go, I do want to point out a negative that Jaden was talking about the other day. No gambling in the casino.
Mm-hmm.
That messed me up. That messed me up hard because it's like, well, how do I catch a Porygon now?
Right.
Why don't the slot machines work?
Right. And
I mean, to me,
go ahead. Sorry.
To me, it was more of a slap in the face that they have the game corner in. You can go in, and the guy's like, "You shouldn't be here, champ in the making." Like, because he got my hopes up. They brought it back. It's here. Oh my gosh! And I go in, and I'm just, my dreams are crushed. Because previously they tear it down, and they just don't have it in the game at all. But it's here, and you think you can win and play it, and then they're like, "No, that wasn't really did it for me." They had it.
Yeah, but what Jaden touched on something earlier about how the game is casual, but at the same time, how many times have you played a Pokemon game and been grinding and been out of it because you're grinding and you're gonna be grinding for hours? So you're playing the game, but you're not enjoying the game like you would like those first opening hours of a Pokemon game, before the grinding really starts. You're really just enjoying the game because you're enjoying the world, you're enjoying the new setting. And for this game, we're going back to an old setting, but the grinding is different. There is grinding in this game, believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen. It's just, it doesn't feel like you're grinding. It doesn't feel like you're farming for, shiny Pokemon, because the way they've made it, the way they've worked it out, the system that they've used to grind for a shiny is a lot more functional. And because you now have the opportunity to pick which Pokemon you engage, it's a lot easier.
Right. I will say that there's one really big complaint that I have, and it's kind of the lack of the end game content. I really wanted them to throw in a battle tower. I'm hoping they do it as some sort of DLC or something like that. But other than that, I really, really like a lot of the directions that they went with this title, and I'm hoping they continue with those directions,
I already have the perfect title for the next game: Pokemon Let's Gold and Silver.
Hey, there we go.
That's the next. It should be Pokemon Let's Gold and Silver. Let's get that done. because I'm on board with the Let's Go as a spin-off series.
Yeah.
So, do you guys want to see co-op make a return in the future for not just the Let's Go, but mainstream ones, though?
I don't know about the mainstream games, but I want there to be a little bit more inclusive co-op I want the co-op to be more than just like
a bot,
an easy mode.
Yeah.
But let me tell you something. The Snorlaxes in this game. By the time I got to the Snorlax, I hadn't been grinding my Pokemon out. I had been I've been actively avoiding battles. So by the time I got to that Snorlax, I was about 10 levels lower than it, and when it started botting me, I was like, oh, hell no. So I turned on the 2-player mode just to make it easier for me to cast the Snorlax by using the dual Pokeballs. So I'm sitting there at my TV like this. And if you guys aren't watching, I'm sorry, but this is your fault. Watch the video version. Throwing with both hands to get like an excellent throw and get like that like catch bonus. I was like, yeah, make it easier to catch a Snorlax.
Well, right. For me, I prepared the Snorlax.
Yeah, and you know, that's one of the other things is like, this is why I wanted a battle tower in there, because if you have like a battle tower that has a co-op like battle challenge, then you can play with your buddy using your team without it becoming easy mode. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I would like.
That being said, though, the master trainers are a-holes. Like. I shouldn't be 30 levels higher than you, and you're still somehow bodying me.
Who has Melmetal yet?
I do not.
I have like 6 Meltan.
Yo, send one to me.
Yeah, I have 6 Meltan. That's it. And that's just literally from using the Meltan. But I did it once, and I just haven't had a chance to do it again because
I got to use mine this week. I'm almost there. It's Pinap berries will save your life for this. I just added Pinap berries now.
You know what? I will say this, like, I do get really mad at the fact that you have to catch your Pokemon again, and your Let's Go or your Pokemon Go Pokemon, if you've trained them up before you've trained them, they're little buttholes to try to catch. I was like, get in the damn ball.
Yeah.
That's the problem too. It wouldn't be so bad if they gave you Safari Balls for that particular thing, but no, you have to waste your own Pokeballs. And I was like, oh no, I'm not wasting all my Pokeballs trying to catch a Pokemon that I already done caught.
Right.
So next round of the 2018 highlights, guys. Who's going next?
Well, that was my next one. So Pokemon.
All right. So then, Jaden.
Sure. You know what? Yeah. I will also say the renaissance of indie titles on the Switch. Okay. Dead Cells is perfect example of how fucking fantastic. Wait, you're gonna have to censor that. How frackin' fan. I can say frack, right?
Yeah, go for it.
Frack. Yeah, frackin' fantastic. Like the year has been. We got Dead Cells on it. Celeste. There was that really difficult gothic style. I'm still blanking on the name right now.
Mark of the Ninja?
No, the one with the Plague Doctor and shit. I can see it in my head. Darkest Dungeon. That one. That game's stupid hard, but it's really solid. We've had a lot of Into the Breach was another title that came out. That was fantastic. It's been a really, really good year for indie titles and the Switch. And it's gotten to the point where there'll be Steam sales, and I'll be like, wait, I want this game, but I want it on the Switch. And so I'll just completely skip out and wait for the Switch.
Well, honestly, like the indie titles, like 2018 started off so slow from like first party releases. Indie titles in the first half of the year were keeping the system like
alive.
Afloat. Yeah, well, not afloat because the system was still selling like wildfire, but
it kept gamers tied over.
Yeah, it made like the wait between the bigger and more key releases a little bit more palpable.
Right.
And I mean, so many indie games, and they're still like the trend isn't stopped either. Like in 2019, we've got a bunch of indie games that are looking to be like fire, just straight up fire. And you know, the controversy that Dead Cells had aside, hashtag Philip Mewson's a dick. You know, the controversy aside, like that game was really good, and it was up there. I was surprised that it was up on a couple of couple of media outlets had that like up in the running for their Game of the Year contender alongside Celeste as a Game of the Year contender. I was like, wow, I can't believe like these games are up there for Game of the Year, and they're indie games. Like that's fantastic, man. And like some of these games are launching exclusively on the Switch, or they're coming out on the Switch first, and there's still so many more. And then we've got a big one coming out on Friday. No More Heroes, Travis Strikes Again.
Right.
Like there's and I can't wait for that game.
Yeah. I reloaded. So my second of the 2018 highlights was Nintendo Labo.
Yeah.
So Nintendo Labo took us all by storm. No one really saw it coming. Everyone thought it was Smash. They shouldn't know if it was marketed as a new experience for kids. So don't think that. But
for kids at heart.
What? Oh yeah, kids at heart. But it was so different and unique. It's something only Nintendo can do, and I like that. But it's just different, I guess. And it's not bad. It's fairly fun. The Toy-Con piano, I still use a bit from time to time.
I didn't buy any Labo equipment, but I did get to go to an event where they allowed you to build and go hands-on with it, and I was actually really impressed. And then they ran that program for schools this year where the Nintendo would actually give whichever schools like qualified for it, a couple of Switches and Labo kits, and it taught kids like basic engineering, like really basic engineering, but like as a learning tool, it's actually fantastic. And then on top of that, there's like the play aspect of it all when you're done assembling. Like Labo is intriguing. I don't think it took off the way that Nintendo wanted it to, but I don't think we should undersell how well it actually did. It did supremely well, considering that it's such a niche market of people that they're trying to reach with it. You're basically trying to reach like the Lego crowd.
Right.
And there's not a whole lot of crossover between like the Lego crowd and like hardcore video game crowd, but like Nintendo found like a little way to bridge it. It's been a whole year since they made that announcement, by the way. Like it's insane. But yeah, I mean, I remember the Labo thing got caught with so much backlash in the beginning, like, $80 for cardboard.
Yeah,
$80. It's cardboard. It's like, dude, it's not
good
for you.
I feel like I'm learning. It is very niche. It's not for everyone, but it's a wonderful idea. It's very different, and I like that. It's something no one would have seen, no one would have done, but everyone, I think, can love in some fashion and can learn from. And it's good. I like Labo. Labo's a highlight for me.
If Nintendo can integrate Labo into more games, like Yoshi's Crafted World would be great with Labo support.
Right.
I want to see more racing games with Labo.
Like Mario Tennis Aces with like little
Labo tennis racket.
Yes, that would be fantastic. Like just little ways to integrate Labo into more first-party games would be really, really great. Like I said, the
VR with the robot.
I honestly, dude, could you imagine using the robot in like Yoshi's Crafted World?
That sounds
like,
scary.
Like having it like tear through like the craft.
That sounds scary.
Like just have it like you play as the robot and you like start like Godzilla smashing like all the art and craft. That would be
Someone
dope.
worked hard on those levels.
Yeah,
smash right through them, dude. But that integration would make me buy the Labo robot kit. I bet you. I'd pay $80 for that kit if I could.
Yoshi's Crafted World.
Come here, Yoshi. I'm coming for you, Yoshi. No, but like Labo integration in that game would be fantastic. Like that game screams Labo integration, and it would be amazing if that's part of the reason for the delay that the game got.
Well, we didn't get the kind of details though, so what a shame. Maybe later, maybe in Crafted World 2. in 10 years from now.
It'll be Crafted World when you're done with it.
Feel good feel, get on it. 10 years from now, let's go.
Yeah.
All right, so
my
last highlight for Nintendo 2018 is Dragon Ball Fighter Z. Basically, the year long, like the Xbox and the PS4, they their years kicked off strong with Dragon Ball Fighter Z. It was the fighting game that took the world by absolute storm. It looks good. It plays good. It sounds good. Like, might be the perfect fighting game. Dragon Ball FighterZ may very well be the perfect fighting game, and what it did so well was it basically bitch slap Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. Like,
so hard.
Like, they're like, hey, we made the way better game. And it's the same style of game. We're gonna do the same style of game, but we're gonna do that shit way better. And for the longest time, I'm sitting here as a Switch owner, and I'm like, I really want that game, and I know that game works on the Switch. I know that game works on the Switch.
Yeah.
And then Bandai Namco straight up said it. Oh yeah, the game works on the Switch. We're just waiting to see if the install base is high enough. Buy Dragon Ball Xenoverse, and maybe this game will get a release on the Switch. And I'm like, that's kind of fucked up. Like, I have to buy a game for you to release a game that I already have for you to release a game that I want. I felt a little sideways about that. Now, granted, I did buy Dragon Ball Xenoverse on my Switch.
Yeah,
but that's neither here nor there. Like, just the mentality behind it was like, yeah, we don't trust Nintendo to be able to, like, expand our user base for this game. But then you start to realize, like, people weren't buying the PS4 or the Xbox version because they were hoping for a Switch version. And I sat there. I was one of those people who's like, I won't buy this game until it comes out on the Switch. And let me tell you, every time I walk into a GameStop and I saw it, I'd be like, I really want to buy the game. And I would hold off because I was like holding on to the principle that it would come out for the Switch. And when it finally did come out on the Switch in October, or at the end of September, actually, I was excited because first off, it shows that the Switch can run some of these like games that people don't think it can run. Second, it is an almost pixel perfect port from the Xbox and the PS4 version. Now there is a little bit of like downgrading there, but the art style is so good in that game that it's negligible. The differences that you see between the Xbox and the Switch version.
That's one of the things with just like the anime style fighters in general is you can get away with not having it look the absolute best, and it'll still run, right? Like as long as the frames are good, that's really all that matters.
Yeah, and the game itself is just so much fun. Like, it has a great like online mode. It actually has a better online mode than Smash Ultimate does. Now, granted, Smash Ultimate is a bigger game, but the online function is much more superior for Dragon Ball FighterZ. It's a great game. It's a great looking game, and it's a game that all the other consoles got. That's the key takeaway, is that the Switch got a hardcore title that the other consoles got, and there was nothing that was lost in the translation of bringing it from the other consoles to the Switch, and that just says a lot. And it just shows, like, it makes me hope that other third-party companies start to double down their support on the Switch and start doing some more day and date. I guarantee you that if there's a sequel to Dragon Ball FighterZ, that Bandai Namco goes day and date on all platforms going forward, because they now know that the Switch is a successful commodity and that they can capitalize on it, because the Switch sales numbers were actually really good for Dragon Ball FighterZ.
Right.
And the game just worked. So yeah, and shout out to Arc System Works for like taking that, like, all the mechanics that they put into Blaze Blue and just beating the shit out of them for Dragon Ball FighterZ. Like, they took those mechanics and they leveled them up to the highest degree, and they made a fantastic, visually impressive game.
Right.
That game is just outright sexy.
Right. And in terms of a mechanical standpoint, it's also unique and different enough that you don't feel like it's a Blaze Blue clone. So, it's great. The ArcSys is hands down my favorite 2D fighter developer right now. So, well,
dude, they're making a Grand Blue Fantasy fighting game this year.
Yeah, I saw.
Oh my god! And Dragalia Lost characters are going to be in it too.
Yeah,
let's get it.
Do not know how to feel about it, so I'll probably end up getting it, but whatever.
You think they're gonna ignore a Switch release day one after the success of Dragon Ball FighterZ? Hell no.
I really
That
hope
game's coming on every platform day one. But yeah, Dragon Ball FighterZ, one of my final highlight for 2018. Who's next?
I guess I could go. I'm not entirely sure because, like, I don't know what to think for my third highlight. I guess it's kind of a tie-up between Isabel's reveal / Animal Crossing's announcement and Starlink.
Oh,
it's kind of weird.
If we had honorable mentions, Starlink would have made so it basically came down to Starlink and Dragon Ball FighterZ for me. Like, which game did I enjoy more? And it was such a minor difference because I had so much fun with that Toys to Life. And Starlink is a fantastic game.
It's really
and it's the one time where we get a third-party release, and the Nintendo version of that game is the definitive version of that game. It is
That's how I was going to start off.
Right.
I was going to start off.
I don't want to steal your thunder. Go ahead.
No, it's fine. So like you're saying, it's all the systems got it, and Nintendo got the best one. And that, first of all, is a very key point. It's a very successful point for the Switch. But also, we're seeing a renaissance, albeit not much, of Toys to Life, which was a interesting concept when we had, the three competing Lego Dimensions, Skylanders, and Disney Infinity, and Nintendo Amiibo sort of on the side doing their own Amiibo thing. I think the only one really now left is Amiibo, and I guess Starlink. And Amiibo is it's not as big as it was, unfortunately. Especially since
the Smash Line, the new
revitalized it.
Oh my god, dude! You know how long I looked for Wolf? You know how long it took me a month to find a Wolf, and I found it very randomly. If I hadn't gone to Target that day, I wouldn't have seen it, and I had to take it out of somebody's hands. Not really.
No.
Not literally. They reached for it at the same time that I did, and I wasn't going back down. Luckily, there was one more behind the one I wanted.
Now you tell me. But so Toys to Life, seeing it come back was very cool. I was impressed. Is that the word? I don't know. I was impressed at how it played. It feels very nice to fly around. The combat was fun. The exploration was fun. It's kind of grindy at times when you're like exploring everything. But Star Fox, seeing that was great. Seeing the Star Fox integration was phenomenal.
It doesn't hurt that the gameplay wise is like a mashup between No Man's Sky
and Star Fox.
But the pilot mechanics of Star Fox, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it's a natural fit for Star Fox, exactly. But the open world, it was really fun because intergalactic space isn't normally an open world setting, and when it is, sometimes not done the best. No Man's Sky is an example there. And it really did feel unique, unique for an open world game because you're primarily in a ship. You're exploring multiple different planets and their outer solar system, and that's what you don't normally get to do. So I'll leave that as my Starlink third final point. It was fun.
I love that game. I really did. Like, Starlink occupied like 3 weeks of my time hardcore because there was a whole week. Like, it took me 2 weeks to get to like the end game, but like there's so much other stuff to do that I took a whole week of just doing whatever I wanted before I finished that game. And on top of that, it's almost a better Star Fox game than Star Fox Zero was. Like, even though the Star Fox content it's not a whole lot of Star Fox content. If we're being honest, it's like maybe 10 missions playing as Star Fox, but the content is so good and the story it's like that perfect blend of cheesy Star Fox, but they take it seriously enough at the same time that it doesn't feel like you're just playing as like a robot puppet dog.
Right. And it helped that they got some of the good voice acting in too.
Arguably, it has better voice acting than Star Fox Zero.
Yeah.
Plus, it was kind of cool to see Wolf engage in the act of cannibalism.
Oh, yeah.
I never thought I'd miss the food on Corneria.
Just like as he eats the arm of a creature, like an arm. I was like, wait, no, that's an arm. That's not like a drumstick or something. Like that's an arm. That was like
There are fingers.
yeah, that was possibly an intelligent life form that he just devoured.
Yeah, it reminds me of like old DBZ, where the first time you see like Vegeta and Nappa, they're just munching on the arms of some people they just blew up. So
exactly. No, but it was good. It was good, and like graphically, the game, it's not like pushing the Switch's boundaries. Now, granted, the PS4 and the PS4 version visually has a lot better rendering.
Right.
Like there was some visual downgrades for the Switch version. That being said, though, I have always said that I would always take gameplay and story over graphics any day of the week, and that's what the Switch version provided me. It provided me with the same gameplay, but with more story content, and that's what helped push it over the edge. Yeah, like for me, it was like I said, like if I was doing honorable mentions, Starlink would have been there because it was so close. I just edged it out because Dragon Ball FighterZ is a better looking game.
Yeah, and you actually did touch upon something that I thought was really great about Starlink is the storytelling aspect, right? Because they managed to use scenes particularly well. They to tell to push points and tell stories that doesn't have to be in words. Like again, going back to the wolf thing, eating somebody's arm. That doesn't seem like it's a whole lot, but it actually tells you a lot about Wolf's character, the kind of brutality behind it, right? It gives extra depth to Wolf that I don't think we've seen before Starlink. And so
yeah, I don't think we've ever seen Wolf eat a creature, a intelligent life form before.
Have you seen Wolf like actually eat like food? Just food?
No.
Right. And so it's funny because you see in the writers and directors of Starlink, they use seemingly mundane tasks like that to really add an extra dimension to people's or to characters' personalities and what we know about them, which is something that is very often overlooked and very often taken for granted. So,
and on the most superficial level, we finally got that R-Wing amiibo that Nintendo wanted to make. Like just like superficially, like we got that R-Wing, and one of the coolest little aspects of it is if you're actually playing with the R-Wing and you have the Joy-Cons connected, the exhaust pipe of the R-Wing lights up, and I'm like, that is amazing. Like that, it's such a small, stupid little detail, but the fact that it lights up, yes.
But that's like Starlink for you. Like it's all in the tiny details that make Starlink. It takes it from a moderately good game to an absolutely fantastic game, all in the tiny details.
I agree. Oh man, I just remember when the game first came out, how Brendan had taken like all like the guns and just placed them on the ship, and he's like. He had just had them all on like one side.
One wing.
This is just one wing. I'm like, what the hell, dude? And he's like, look, it works. I'm like, what the hell? I'm sitting there. I'm like, I didn't even think to do that. Like I just sitting there. I was staring at all my accessories. I was like, I need to think about opening these up and doing that yet.
Yeah, I need to get my hands on some of the other ones. I just haven't had the time or the money. So.
No, dude, no. The thing that gets me is that they built an Atlas model kit that's exclusive to Target, and it fits in so well with the Toys Life. It's not even like a full scale thing, but they built the Atlas, and I think it's a cardboard thing, but from what I saw of it, it looks like it fits perfectly with the actual Toys to Life figures. And I'm like,
God,
I'm just waiting for it to go on clearance, because once that thing goes on clearance, I'm going all out. I did go ahead and buy like all the other ships and accessories because over the holidays they had massively discounted all those things. So I was like, I went free for all, and I went and found everything. I got all the pilots, I got all the extra weaponry, I got all the ships. So like I have a full set of Starlink just chilling, and my girl's like, "What the hell, man?"
Yeah, I wanted to, but I knew she would kill me.
I got like a little bit over half of the merch.
She looked at me. She's like, "You have enough amiibo? These aren't amiibo."
Right. She's like, you have like 80 amiibo. Why do you need more toys? And I'm like, these aren't toys. This is a $300 figure of Homura. You just don't get it. It's art. And she's like, no, it's not. It's done one of your dumb weeaboo PVC crap. And I'm like, this is like, you know those Greek guys where you see like figures? It's like that. And she's like, no, you're just a fucking pervert. And I'm like, thanks. You know what? There's no talk. You just don't understand art. I'm done. You just don't understand it, okay?
Then he leaves the house and comes back with 2 more.
Yeah, basically. Yep.
I mean, Mithra's coming out in February, the Mithra figure.
Thank God my fiance does not watch this podcast. She would kill me.
Honestly, I couldn't even get away with bringing the pirate and the Mithra home. I could not take the kind of glares I would get for bringing statues like that home. I just did not get them. I was like, I'm just gonna invest in the Dragon Ball figures. Like, for some reason, like overly steroided looking dudes is much more acceptable than half.
Which is funny because that goes back to the wrestling, pro wrestling. Like, exactly. Yeah, you could watch oiled up, sweaty dudes in nothing but like spandex shorts wrestle each other, but the minute you go to like a mud wrestling competition or when you watch mud wrestling, you're pig. Okay.
So I just ignored the pirate Mithra. She hated watching me play that game, by the way. Like she's like, look at those boobs. Is that what you like? It's a video game.
You didn't design the character, just play as them.
I was like, I have no control. Oh, yeah.
Right.
Leave me.
This is actually a great point for me to segue to my highlight of 2018. This actually, and this is actually not a game. This is something that happened in terms of just the general overall kind of gaming sphere, and that is the fact that Sony has now more like censored restrictions than Nintendo does. And that comes out from a lot of the guidelines that they're putting on games like Senran Kagura and Dead or Alive and all these other sorts of things. And to me, that is just mind-blowing. If you had told me 10, even like 15 years ago that there would be a world in which Nintendo is less restricted in terms of mature content than Sony, I would have said you're a goddamn liar and that there's no way in hell that's ever going to happen. And yet somehow we are in the most based Omega timeline in which that has occurred. And that's fantastic. I'm really excited for the DOA Extreme 3 Scarlet and other Senran Kagura titles because I'm a simple man. I see anime boobs and I press like. That's it.
To kind of segue off of your highlight, there's one highlight that's not necessarily Nintendo related that I kind of want to bring to light. 2018, we saw the rise of the gamer versus the publisher, more so than any other year. And over the course of the last calendar year, we saw like gamers finally take a stance and say, this is too much. We need to put our foot down. I think it started with Sony and the crossplay. This is kind of how I segued it. When Sony opted to not add crossplay to games like Fortnite and oh crap, what's the name of that game? It's such a popular game. Rocket League. Thank you, sir.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Like it started there, but then it extended to the point where like the DLC, like all the constant like microtransactions, like we basically saw like EA like get taken to task. And there are other much more popular YouTubers that had a hand in this, like Yang Yeah. Shout outs to Yang Yeah. And so many other YouTubers just take them to task. And the same thing is, it's not just like EA, it's also Activision with their failure at BlizzCon and Bethesda with the piss poor launch of Fallout 76. We're starting to see the gamer take a stance that we've never seen them take before. Like before, it was the take what we give you mentality. And in 2018, it's like, no, you give us what we want because we pay you.
Right. And I think, here's the thing. Like, I know I'm going to get shit from this, but, being in kind of the, having been around when like Gamergate started, there was some really good intentionality behind some of the actual pro Gamergate folks, and it was to kind of combat this pro or this corruption that was kind of coming up in the game industry.
The word I like to use is predatory.
Right. Now that's not to say what Gamergate eventually became or the whatever, but I'm just saying there was an effort that was made, right, in the beginning, and it didn't seem to work out. So now we're I think we're seeing like a second wave of this sort of stuff, and there's been some lessons that have been learned, and it seems to be a little bit more focused in terms of not making similar mistakes, and whether that's intentional or whether that's a conscious choice on the part of people or just kind of a happy accident, I don't particularly care. But it's working, so that's nice.
All right. Is that all our highlights for the year? Is that everybody's highlights?
Yeah, pretty much, unless anybody wanted to talk about anime titties, but
Anime Kagura Peach Ball. Only Japanese eShop right now, but worth it.
Yeah,
definitely.
Let's go ahead and get into our 2019 predictions. So,
oh wait, hold on. I actually just want to go back real quick. I also want to mention that on the eShop, just to make sure that there's not like just to make sure that it's not just content for like perverted dudes like me. They also have they've been releasing a bunch of Ultimate games. Ultimate games are like visual novels catered towards females, where basically your protagonist is a female surrounded by a bunch of dudes that she can romance. So I'm just saying they're releasing content for everyone. So if you're into that sort of thing, go for it. They're actually some pretty good games and have some really solid writing, and it's nice to see this stuff really open up on a Nintendo platform where they have mature content for everyone. So that's all.
All right. So moving into our predictions, 2019 predictions, I have a kind of bold one. I predict that in 2019, Nintendo will resurrect a dead franchise, completely dead franchise,
but not F-Zero.
Like not F-Zero, yeah. I mean, well, they've got. I don't think you want to release F-Zero in a calendar I don't think you want to announce it at a time where people are kind of anticipating Crash Bandicoot Team Racing.
Fair enough, yeah.
Even though it's basically just like an HD like up-res of the game. Like I think that game was extraordinarily popular in the PS1 era. I expect it to do gangbusters on the Switch and PS4, but I think they're gonna resurrect a dead franchise. I'm leaning towards something like Kid Icarus. I think Nintendo knows like the value behind a well-made Kid Icarus title. I think even Kid Icarus Uprising, which has its control flaws,
right.
I love the control.
Is a fantastic game.
They're great controls.
No man, if I have to put my
system hand cramps
on a stand, it's wrong.
Wrong. I could play it just fine in any position.
I could not. I had to use that stupid kickstand.
I disagree. The controls are perfect.
I actually liked the controls, but I would have preferred to be given the option to at least use Circle Pad Pro. I mean,
they gave you that option.
What was the point of the Circle Pad Pro if not specifically for that game? And then when all it did was invert the controls for left-handed players, I was like, "Oh, fuck you, Sakurai."
Yeah, that was one of the things I was pretty upset about. I'm like, dude, more options is always better. Well, I shouldn't say always. Mostly all the time.
Yeah.
99% of the time better.
I'm leaning towards them resurrecting like a completely dead franchise. But an obscure one. Like my initial gut feeling would be to go with the proven commodity in Kid Uprising, but I think they go something a little bit more obscure like Captain Rainbow. I think the Switch era, I think Nintendo could
Captain
Rainbow. Like
getting Mother 3.
I would love to say that we're getting Mother 3. It feels like Nintendo's dropping hints at Mother 3, but
dropping hints.
Wouldn't it be crazy if they're like, not only are we going to release Mother 3, we're going to release a new Mother game too.
That's
like goddamn mind.
I know that's what they should do.
People would just die.
Series.
People would die. Yeah. But yeah, I think Nintendo with the Switch, they have a lot more options than they had. That it's like it's the Marvel effect. It's the Marvel effect where nobody expected the Marvel movies to be any good, but they got to the point where Marvel can release like films like Guardians of the Galaxy, and that becomes their most popular film in their line of films. Like these are like you started with the B-list heroes because you didn't have access to the A tier, right? So we have to do Iron Man and Captain America and Thor. And these are your B heroes because everybody knows is like Spider-Man and like the X-Men are your A level characters. Those are the characters you wish you had, but you lost access to them. But then they took their B characters and made them into their A characters, and they're like,
honestly, I would say they went beyond that, dude. They turned them into god tier characters, like complete reversal. Spider-Man, X-Men.
It got to the point where they're like, we could do Ant-Man now, and we could do Guardians of the Galaxy, and people are all like, who the fuck is Ant-Man? And then you watch Ant-Man, and you're like, this movie's fantastic. Nintendo has that same thing going for themselves with the Nintendo Switch. Like, they could literally release anything, and it's gonna sell. It is time to revitalize some of your D-level characters. Let's get Kid Icarus. Ice Climbers 2019, anybody?
Geist.
Like all these titles that all these franchises that you have just
Paperboy.
Yes,
Paperboy.
Wait, Geist is the one where you possess people, right? On the cube?
Wait.
I
don't know.
There was a first-person shooter where you're like a ghost thing on the GameCube where you can like possess them and shoot people. I'm pretty sure it's Geist, right?
That's cool though.
Anyway, okay, super important video.
Sorry, I was looking at the chat. But still, no, there are so many dormant Nintendo franchises that could come back. Right. Let's get some of them. Like hell, I'm all about a Kid Icarus Uprising. I'm all about a Mother 4. Imagine Mother 4 coming out before Mother 3.
Right. Hell, I would kill for another Kirby Star Ride.
So I want to take both of the points and a point from previous. So you just mentioned Kirby Air Ride. And before you mentioned Crash Team Racing. I think 2019 and or early 2020 has the potential to make the Switch the premier racing game console. It's already so we have Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. And potentially we might get a new Mario Kart still. We don't know. There's Mario Kart Tour coming out soon. We don't know what that's going to be, but Mario Kart Tour is a thing as well for the phones. But so we have Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Crash Team Racing, this supposed Retro Studios Star Fox racing game, Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing and or Sonic Team Racing R, whatever that is, and a Kirby Air Ride remake or sequel.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Chills.
And then like a couple of just standard normal racing games here and there that are pretty good. Like I'd take it's EA, but like I was gonna say Need for Speed, but like if we get like a Forza Horizon would be my ideal racing game. That's obviously Microsoft. So I'll take maybe Need for Speed just for my I don't know.
Yeah, right.
As long as it's a good Need for Speed, I guess it has to be good.
So in keeping with that Dead franchise, how about a MMA style version of Punch Out? Can we finally get
Punch Out?
That
was rumored a while ago. It's not happening, but I'd be down for a Punch Out remake.
Like I said, I think a long dead franchise is coming back, and Punch Out might be at the top of that list.
Have you heard of a game called Pato Box?
I've heard the title. I have no idea why or what it is.
So Pato Box is like Punch Out.
Right.
But it adds a lot more to it. So there's like stealth sequences, and there's this fight where you fight this guy like cooking things or something.
That's
and it expands on the whole like dodge left, right, and then a counterattack formula in new interesting ways. And it keeps that traditional Punch Out sort of style too. But it expands on it and puts in new scenarios. I'd be down for a Pato Box made by Nintendo, which Pato Box is really good. You should check it out. It's on the Switch. Go for it.
All right, so I'm gonna go with a since you guys both had predictions, I'm gonna go with a kind of a predictable.
Hey, time out, guys, because
time out.
Let's try to wrap this up in like 5 because.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, we're getting late.
We have to go.
So I'm gonna choose a bit of a conservative prediction. I think we'll see another throwback console. I'm hoping it'll be the 64 or maybe even the GameCube, but I think there's probably a chance that we'll see that coming out for the next holiday season.
One last thing I might want to mention is I think Town will take the world by storm. People are going to look at Town and be like, yeah, this looks fun. And then it's going to sell like crazy. Yeah.
I forgot about that one.
I think that's going to catch a lot of people off guard and be a great new IP, and it might even be a standard.
Right. So that was my prediction. In terms of any other ones, I don't know.
Steve from Minecraft or Smash, of course. Yeah.
Dude, that'd be pretty solid. I would like to see more announcements for additional DLC characters
beyond the first 5.
That would be really nice. And I guess another really conservative prediction. I think that this E3 will probably see some more information on the next Metroid. So
I was gonna say that I think E3 will be actually Metroid focused. I think it'll be a 2020 game, but it'll be Metroid focused.
Right. Or
that's
late
big gun.
2019 at the very worst. At the very earliest, excuse me. At the very best, late 2019.
Yeah.
So here's hoping, but who knows, right?
Shrugs, yeah.
So
are we going to outro this? I think that's our predictions for the most part summed up, right? We're outroing this now. Okay.
Right. You want to give 30 seconds to see if he pops back in so he gets his last?
Sure. In the meantime, let's talk about something. Let's talk about what do you think? What are your Smash character highlights or predictions? Actually, I was joking about Steve.
Right. You know, this is the one character I definitely want to see 100%. Shantae, the half genie hero. I have been waiting for her for a long time, and I really want to see her in there. Shantae has I don't know if you guys are really into the like half genie hero kind of community that's out there.
I am.
But Nintendo has been made her unofficial home. She's basically a Nintendo character now. She's all but a Nintendo character now.
She's a way forward character, but only really a Nintendo character.
Yeah, similar to how like Shovel Knight, technically not a Nintendo character, but if you ask the fan base, they associate him closer to Nintendo than anyone else. Shantae is a very similar way. I would love to see Shantae show up in Smash.
So I feel like there's no safe bet on Smash. If you thought Gino was a shoo-in, if you thought Steve from Minecraft and Sora would never happen, we're all wrong. Anything can happen now. We got Joker from Persona 5.
Yeah,
Piranha Plant. Cloud Strife. Like, anything is possible. Sakurai does not care.
Goku!
Goku he's possible. So Goku can happen.
Right.
But Shrek, no, not Shrek.
Oh, I would love to see
Shrek. That's why I draw the line.
I would love to see Shrek.
But anything's going to be possible for Smash Bros. I got my ballot pick, which was Simon Belmont, and I also got doubled down with Richter.
Yeah, I
am more than happy with what I get. But if I had to pick a next character, it would definitely be Shantae. I'm a big fan of the Shantae games. And I'm waiting for the indie representation. How big would that be? She's, like you said, a very Nintendo character. And she could work really well. I think the biggest thing I like is that she could work really well. With the hair whip, like as a hair whip, like she could be really good with that stuff.
Oh yeah,
the transformations add a whole nother level. The Riskies gear adds a whole nother level.
Right.
And so she just has so much potential, I feel.
Great. I would love to see some other like classic N64 era characters show up as DLC too. Like
people want Banjo.
Right? That would be fantastic. I mean, obviously there's a bit of a licensing issue with Rare right now. So that complicates things a bit, but I would love to see it work. Like, honestly, we didn't think that any of these characters, like Cloud, for example, would ever make it in 100 years because of licensing issues. And if Nintendo has proved anything, it's that somehow they've managed to make it work. So I don't know.
I mean, there was a point in time, speaking of like N64 characters, there's a point in time when Sakurai wanted James Bond in Smash, GoldenEye 007. I would be down to just have like the N64 model of James Bond just running around. I don't want him to look nice. I want to be an N64 model of James Bond. So like shooting, like similar to Snake, honestly. I want to just play like Snake, but more suave and smooth, I guess. I don't know.
Right.
But I would be down for James Bond. Sakurai wants him, but that's a whole other licensing issue entirely as well. So
yeah, it's a bit of a mess here. License.
That's. I feel like we have better odds of getting Shrek than we do James Bond, actually.
Right.
Or maybe Goku, I feel like, too. Goku has better odds. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see when it happens.
That would be funny, though. That'd be great.
Speaking of, but with Travis Strikes Back coming 2 days from now, Travis touchdown for Smash.
Right. That'd be really.
He would be a really good character. I think also it would be cool to see if we ever get a No More Heroes 3 officially, an official 3 for No More Heroes could be really cool.
Right.
Right. I think I hear the man, the myth, the legend, Nice One himself. Are we good to outro?
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. We said it because we knew you couldn't say anything. It's okay. Yeah. I got you. Obviously, with Goku being a character, Vegeta would be his Echo Fighter. So you and I could play as Vegeta.
What if you play as both Vegeta and Goku? You get Gogeta. You can actually play as Gogeta.
Oh god. Okay.
Talking a lot of.
We're done. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's gonna wrap up our show for this fortnight. We'll be back in 2 weeks. We're gonna have way more topics. We're gonna have a lot more active 2019 than we did the back half of 2018. Yeah. We just got caught up on some stuff. But guys, I gotta go. I'm finna go watch that Dragon Ball Super Broly. You know our social media links. Hit us up there, and please see you again in 2 weeks. Take it easy, guys. Peace.
Thanks for listening.